Let's talk a little bit about gender, kind of a hot topic these days. Um, Gender has always existed, and if you watch the videos on male and female, and on, in the Huna tradition, the idea that there's source, and then the first dichotomy is male and female. Male and female has existed, forever. And there are qualities of each that we'll go to in another video. Today I want to talk about this idea of certainly the spectrum of gender and gender identity. And a real hot topic right now is that idea of transgender and people who are feeling as though they are in the wrong body. And I've worked with many, many people. What I appreciate about there are Native American traditions, and I'm going to talk about this, and I'm going to give you a reference to look at it if this is really interesting to you, is there's male and female, and then there is and has been for thousands of years the idea of a third sex, a sort of more androgynous male-female balanced sex. In one particular Native American tradition, they call this the Berdache, B-E-R-D-A-C-H-E. In the Hawaiian tradition, they call this the Mahu, M-A-H-U. And, conventional cultures say it's just simple, they're the gay people. It was actually thought of as more complicated and simpler than that. There are, if you look at a Native American, let's just take it out of Hawaiian culture, take it out of modern culture, and look in a tribal culture, let's say Native American. Now, I'm not an expert in Native American studies by any means, but I've done a lot of reading and have worked in and among the Native cultures here in the Americas. And they have the male, and if you think about the male traditional gender roles was being the warrior. The male would go off to war and would be strong, and there were certain rites and rituals and rites of passage that they would go through to become more male. Now we talk about toxic masculinity, today, and so we do look at, you got that. So there's the on the one side of the spectrum, the Marlboro man, the real super macho guy. That's a man's man, all that kind of stuff. Flip the other side to the female side of the spectrum, and you have, the female gender role of, now I'm not speaking that this is the way it should be, I'm just speaking in the way it is, and it has been, and certainly, and this is what I'm going to get to. So on the female side of the spectrum, you have more nurturing, more maternal, more feminine, meaning softer, kinder, gentler, more communicative. They were typically charged with rearing the children, taking care of the money, taking care of the household, or the teepee, as it were, in the Native American cultures, the cooking, the cleaning, the tending to the warrior when he would come back from battle. Now, statistically and biologically in that tradition, and people don't know this is why it's so funny when you look at gender studies, there was a third sex. And many tribes, Navajo, Ojibwe, and many others, Zuni, had what was called the Berdache. Now, the Berdache was considered to be a number of things. Typically, they were considered to have balanced aspects of male and feminine energy, male and female energy. They often would take over the role of the female when the warrior was killed in battle. And so they would be rearing the children. They would support the warrior's family. They would partner up with the widow, if you will, and help out. They also were in tradition, more spiritual traditions, considered to be the wise medicine people, the shaman, the witch doctor, the priest, that kind of thing, because they were considered to have aspects of the wisdom of both male and female energy. They weren't seen as purely female, and they weren't seen as purely male. Now listen to this. This is from an anthropological point of view. I'm not speaking as a member of the LGBTQ community. I'm not on a campaign about this. The book is called The Spirit and the Flesh by Walter Williams. It's an older book now from the 80s. He was a professor of anthropology at USC in Southern California. Actually, I knew him and met him. And a wonderful book, The Spirit and the Flesh, about the Native American tradition of the third sex, the Berdache.